primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grace Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your online news service providing in-depth coverage for the latest stories from around the galaxy. Now, the news segment rundown for April 10th, 2022. Kyber Crystal Comic Corner. There's only one game. Now here's Ben and Adam to discuss.
All right. Thanks very much, Grex.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to another week of Core World News, coming at you a little later in the old weekend. Sorry about that. But we are going to get into it with two interesting topics today. We're going to talk about comics that we haven't for a long time. But first, there's a new Star Wars game that came out, Lego Star Wars. It doesn't really count in my eyes because it's a Lego title and not like a canon title. But I'll count. There was such an uproar around this game. I'll count it. Have either of you played it yet?
Yeah, I played a little bit of it. I played a couple hours with it. I got it on Tuesday. Played about 2 hours on Tuesday, and it's great. We'll talk about it. I've gone back to playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but anyway.
I have only watched the intro video for the game, and that is some of the most beautiful Star Wars montage, editing I've seen in a long time. It's stunning, and it's super fun. So just check out that intro video if you can on YouTube. And that's a great sort of glimpse of the game, like sneak peek of what the game is like. So it's pretty cool. And there's lots of jokes. I mean, the humor is outstanding in those games.
Yeah. I got it, and I halted my progress in Horizon Forbidden West to do this. And because I was like, it just makes sense. It's funny and it's Star Wars and it's the whole thing. And they just have a way of really being reverent and irreverent at the same time.
Yeah.
They respect the trilogy and the lore or the three trilogies. They respect lore. They respect, like fandom. And then they just like have a little bit of harmless fun too.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Just talking about story here. The gameplay is a different thing. It's actually fantastic.
I'm wondering, is there anything additive in this game? Like, do they push past the timeline of the sequel trilogy at all? Anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it's pretty straight telling of the nine.
Okay.
Well, it's pretty deep, like into every scene. It's just like imagine going through the timeline of all the movies, and you can choose which trilogy you start with.
Yeah. So
you can either use episode 1, 4, or 7.
Yeah. So quick question: where'd you start, Ben?
Prequels. I'm doing the full run.
Yeah, I did timeline order too. I was sitting there. That was my hardest decision. I literally sat there for 5 minutes going, do I start? Do I do release order? Do I do timeline order? And I went timeline order. It's the same thing. I'm playing through episode 1. Yeah.
Grant, I got lucky because Saturday I was working and I met Jason, who's on our Discord, and he was like, "Which trilogy are you going to start with?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" So that like planted the scene, and I was able to sort of think about it. But definitely, I think timeline order is the way to go.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I might do original trilogy first, just to see all the bells and whistles that they add there, just because it could be fun. I don't know.
I think it's all going to be fun. I plan on doing the whole thing, so that's why I'm just like
release order is. I actually might play that game release order.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's how I watch the movies now.
Right. It's like a perfect Star Wars game, and I hope people use this model to go forward because it's linear, but it's also open world at the same time.
What's interesting is it's just the main saga films, right?
Yeah.
Does it do Rogue One at all? Does it pack the films with the standalones as well? Like does it
no,
sandwich in Rogue One between
no, there are DLC packs for like collectibles, like you can collect characters and stuff from Solo and Rogue One.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're going to release skins. I'm guessing they're going to release same thing with the Mando. There's Mando skins. I'm guessing they're going to release DLC for those things.
That'd be great. A Mando story between
I've seen gameplay of Mando in one of these levels. Like you can actually be the Mandalorian. Some of this stuff. I
may have bought the deluxe edition.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
which I
Good
know
for
I
you,
have I have that DLC pack. Well, it was one of those
Going
things
all
where
in.
it's like when you go to a car, buy a car, and like, well, if, for this much more, and I'm like,
Right. It's like
when I
10
was
bucks
buying
more.
it,
Yeah.
it was, and when I pre-ordered it, by the way, like 18 months ago, I think I pre-ordered it to the point where I forgot that it was even happening until I got charged and the thing was being delivered on Tuesday. I'm like, wait, how much did I spend on this? Wait, what? but I remember going back and going, well,
US
for $5, but then $10 more, you get the Ultra Deluxe. I just kept kind of talking my way up.
I didn't
the
really
ladder on
see
that.
much there. It was like skins, right? It's mostly cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, it's all just skins. Plus, I got a collectible Lego figure with Luke with Lego Luke with blue milk figurine, like an actual one. So
Nice.
Yeah.
They mailed you a physical thing?
Yeah, it's actually came in the packaging. Yeah, I'm trying to think
No
if I have
way.
it with me. Yeah, I have it down here somewhere.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I
Well-
figured what the heck.
That sounds great, man. I didn't this time around. I was like, I'll just unlock everything. But I'll tell you, when you get into this game, you realize the unlockables are vast. There's like 6 skins for Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, and that's just him. Yariel Poofs in here you can unlock.
Yep.
You can unlock Yarl Poof.
Yeah.
You can
Wow.
unlock like a B- like pod racer and like be that character.
Ben Quadrant.
Yeah,
it's all-
How dare you.
They're broken into it's like 7 like classes.
Categories. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say classes, right? So there's even 2 kinds of droids. There's astromech droids and they're protocol droids, and they do different things. So to like unlock all this stuff, you need to go through the whole map. And there's like 38 maps in this game.
Yep.
Like of different parts. They pretty much cover the whole galaxy, or most of a lot of the galaxy. Let's say 2/3. Maybe or a third. I don't know. It's a lot. But like 38 maps, like 38 planets.
Yep.
And you can go through the whole thing. I mean, I spent 2 hours on Oto Gunga, just like going through the Gungan like underwater city.
Gungan underwater city.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't mess with Naboo, and then I'm in Mos Espa, and Mos Espa is so fun. There's just like so many little side missions, and they're all really fun to do. But you need to unlock, and I feel like there's not enough things to unlock on your first playthrough. Like you need to like grind and build up stuff and then go. They call it free play afterwards. You can just go anywhere you want and mess around in the level. So really, I should probably just stay focused and try and play through the game once. You'll probably earn enough stuff to be able to go back and unlock some of those things.
You and I got to the same place, Ben, because I spent a lot of time in Oto Gunga, and I did a ton. I thought I got everything, and I looked. It was like 11% in that level, and there were things like you need a droid to unlock this, you need that. So I'm like, similarly, I'm just gonna play through, get who I get, and then go back and free play it, and go back and do the collectathon.
It's tough. That's what I thought I was gonna just like mow through, but I got into Mos Espa and then I got distracted, and it was super fun. And each like different player has different abilities. So like some people like speak Huttese. So you'll meet a character and they'll speak Huttese. And so if you're Qui-Gon Jinn, you have no idea what they're saying. But if you switch over to Anakin Skywalker, he will know what's going on, and you get the clue to unlock the thing. It's fun. They're like
that's neat. Is it a collectathon? Are you collecting things, or are you? Is it more of like quest giving and fetch?
There's quests too.
Yeah. There are in total 380 playable character models in that game.
Yeah.
Oh, so you are trying to get all those character models from the get-go. Okay. That's cool.
That is why
ships as well as flying a component in the game.
Yep, and you can get mini ships and big ships, and you can choose those to fly. You actually, it's really.
And how many planets would you say are in the game? All the planets featured in the films, and
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah,
at least that, because that's what I mean.
Even some of the smaller ones, just
planets.
Cameos. You know, like even some of the.
Yeah, dude, I think there's 38 planets, because there's like 38 regions of the galaxy, so there might be multiple planets within each region, and like. I know like Coruscant, you can go to 2 places. You can just fly straight to the Federal City, or you can go to the atmosphere, and there's different stuff to do in space above Coruscant. Yeah, it's like so realistic. Like the Lego thing is adorable, but I was just like, oh, if they just skinned this thing, like even the cell shading, anything other than Legos, because like, I mean, it's just a long advertisement for Legos. Ultimately is the only bad thing I can say about this, but like they made a beautiful game. Like everything you've
makes
ever
me want to build Legos. Like it makes me want to build the sets.
Yeah, it totally does.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's designed to do that. I'm not a Lego guy, so I'm like, I just don't care that much. It's like I don't need another addiction to like $800 monster sets because they'll be everywhere. But I don't know. You guys both have kids,
we all
so
do.
it's like yeah. But I do love the game. It's just like the gameplay, the progression, all the unlockables, the skins it's all you'd want out of a Star Wars game.
It's just so big, I had no problem putting it down, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, this is going to be years
Yeah.
to get through it. So, and it's so easy to pick up and put down. I'm like, well, I'll put it down for a little bit. I have some. I'm going to bring them. I got on my Switch, and I have like a number of plane flights coming up in the next 6 months, and I'm like, I'm just gonna bring my Switch on the plane and just play it.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
That'll be funny. That'll be fun. It'll be something to look forward to. You'll be like, oh, I'll play a little Star Wars while in flight.
Yep.
That's great. And the maps, do they feel like open world? Do they like each little section? Feel...
They are open world.
Yeah.
Dude. And I don't even know how deep they go. Like Oto Gunga, like I went through that whole map like 6 times and I know I didn't see half of it.
Yeah. And like you said, there's side quests. It's got RPG elements in terms of like you're talking to NPCs, there's side quests. It's it's you're building your, who your troop's going to be. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty creative.
Yeah, you can create your own ensemble. So like you got 3 people and there are 3 different classes. You can sub in anyone from that era in that class, I think. I don't even know if I think you could put like different skins on different players.
I think so.
And it's multiplayer too. So, you can play with a friend or with your kid or like whatever. And it's pretty easy to just sort of mow through the levels. It's not like a hard first person shooter or anything like that.
Sounds great. Yeah,
it's fun.
Pick that up as well.
Yeah. So I'm counting it. We now have 1 game that's active right now.
Yeah.
Exciting. There's lots in the future though. I feel like we have the Ubisoft game.
They don't get canceled, but yeah.
Yes, in the distant future.
In 20 years.
Yeah, right. I know. Where it'll be sweet because I'll be retired and I'll be able to play Eclipse.
Yep. My kid will be playing it when she's in college. It'll be great.
Yeah. So we have Eclipse, we have the Ubisoft, and I feel like and then possibly another Fallen Order
sequel.
Yeah. Those are the big ones.
I've been thinking about going back and playing that game. I just recently I get these like pangs of like I gotta play Fallen Order again.
It's awesome. It's a fantastic game. Yeah, I just went back to it
just to go lightspeed in the ship. Like I love that moment.
Oh, so fun.
Much.
Love that ship. That would be that might be my dream ship. It's like a Winnebago, but like sporty.
Speaking of ships, should we step aboard the Edgehawk?
Kyber Crystal Comics Corner!
All right, and welcome back to Kyber Crystal Comics Corner.
Hey.
Oh my God, I got it. I haven't said it in so long. Yeah, we're officially back, right? We're officially back to Kyber Crystal Comics Corner.
Right off the tongue.
Perfect. Yeah, we're out of the High Republic. We're out of the War of the Bounty Hunters. I guess we technically could have a Crimson Reign sting. Let's not do that.
Okay.
Honestly, Crimson Reign might be the best kept secret in Star Wars fandom right now. Like
it's real good.
Loving the Crimson Reign run itself by Charles Soule, I believe. It's
Soule.
It almost reads like a history of Marvel, like that Mark Waid run. It's almost like tells you a history, like it just gives you the history and these like short, little kind of.
Is he just canonizing whatever he wants to canonize? Is that what's going on?
Kind of, yeah. And really kind of what Crimson Reign is and how it's been kind of behind the scenes in so many different areas.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm also enjoying, we'll talk about it now, when we talk about Bounty Hunters, how they're incorporating the main run comics a little looser than they did with War of the Bounty Hunters, where everything felt like it had to be moving the plot forward.
Right.
And more what they're doing is we have our general plot, but what we're realizing is Crimson Reign has their fingers in everything that's kind of happening as well. So standalone with a little bit of dabble of Crimson Reign or a Crimson Dawn, I should say, in there. So we just finished one of the first arcs since we've changed over this format where we're going to cover an arc instead of just issue by issue. And we're going to do that in Bounty Hunters. And we're going to talk about issues 18 to 22.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. Good. And it's the arc. We'll talk a bit about it. It kind of ends in a cliffhanger, but they're considering it a 5-issue arc. It's brought to you by Sachs, Box, Villanelli, Valeneza, Lanham, Kamukoli, Woodard, Delgado, and Arbutov.
Nice.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone involved.
Colorist. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, it's a beautiful comic. It's super fun. It is better. We were pretty tough on Bounty Hunters early in its run. I know I definitely was. But it does make a lot more sense to read it in an arc. Then you're like, oh, okay, and you can follow these characters. And there's not that many. It's a pretty fun cadre we're dealing with right now.
The next question I have is, I really enjoyed this. Just kind of spoiler ahead, I really enjoyed this run. I don't know if it's because of the new way we're approaching this, which is like read the entire story in one go, or because a certain character kind of disappears about a third of the way through this arc.
I haven't had this much fun reading a Star Wars comic since I stabbed my best friend in the fighting pits.
You and Tasu Leech just sort of living.
Tasu Leech, standout character in this series, yet says some things that are questionable, like throughout. Like he is chaotic neutral, I feel, or chaotic. I don't know, chaotic evil
good
or something. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. He seems to enjoy
chaotic
fighting.
Neutral. Yeah.
Well, Bossk and him are kind of the same alignment. They're both just like ready to fight and fight to the death. And it's kind of it's gnarly, dude. It's metal. Like I like how metal some of these characters are. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, for people that are wanting like mature, like Carnage, like Star Wars, it's only in the comics. Like this is the only place you can get it, because like there was definitely that scene where someone like made a light joke to Bossk and he's like, I'll bite your fingers off. Oh, he got patted on the back by Tasu Leech. He was like, great job, buddy. And he's like, if you touch me again, you will lose all your fingers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it was their banter that was actually really fun throughout all those issues. I think they're paired together in most of the fights. They're kind of rolling together.
They're kind of the two heavies, of this crew. Like, so they have to shoulder that. But I think about Book of Boba Fett and like Black Chrysanthemum, like someone like makes a jab at him with like, or steals his apple or something, or his Mulan fruit.
Yeah.
And like, if like in the comics, that person would like, he would threaten to rip that person in half.
It's true. It's very true. And the other thing with Bossk is that we get what I wanted with Scar, or was his name Skier, in the High Republic Trandoshan. So remember, Skier loses his arm and it just
yes.
But this time, so when we come back to see Bossk had lost both his legs, and we see them slowly growing back over issues.
Like a couple issues.
Yeah. And I'm like, we finally there's a scene where he's just standing there and he has two little legs and back to tanks. In the back to tank. It's amazing. Yeah.
Just soaking his feet in back to. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was a funny scene. It's, good Trandoshan lizard humor. Good bit. And we have a forlorn Zuckuss, which is funny.
So good.
I love how weird they made Zuckuss.
The Aliens tribute issue where Forlom is sort of this like mechanized spider just sneaking around in the rafters and then attacks Zuckuss, and just the dialogue between Zuckuss and him about how he admires Forlom for being emotionless and and consistent. It's always been his fatal flaw that he's just so consistent, but he also loves that he's consistent. I was like, oh, whatever that means. And then, but I was like, at the same time, like you're saying Forlom's emotionless and you admire that, yet Forlom used all his hacking ability to basically lure Zuckuss to this elaborate trap and and sort of like is all about Zuckuss, like focused directly on one target or one person. So
Zuckuss gets a lot of time in this arc, which is good. It makes it just seems so weird, the like plot lines that standalone where like Forlom was like beheaded and programmed to murder Zuckuss. It like got really bizarre, and I was like, where are they going with this? But now it's starting to pay off, and
it totally is.
They're bringing the team back together.
And that's the thing. I think that's why I'm really enjoying this run, and we'll talk about Vailience in a minute. And I'm enjoying this run because this run is earning the pluralization of Bounty Hunter, which is the title of this book. The title of this book has been Bounty Hunters, not Bounty Hunter. And for 17 issues, we've really had a comic that should have been called Bounty Hunter singular.
We're just
Right, it's
Bielert
been the balance.
Right. And this
adventures and-
this arc
yeah.
is also about the capture of one of the characters, one of the I guess you would say the antagonists of the
Right.
story.
Right.
Grand leader Vukora. And so
Yeah.
it is a bounty mission. It really does feel like an
Yeah.
old sort of bounty.
Yeah.
It feels very Western, but it also feels like feudal Japan. The whole like
Yeah.
hunt for Cadelia feels like
It
Hidden
totally
Fortress
does.
a
Yeah.
little bit. It feels
Yeah.
a lot like Hidden Fortress is in here too. And it's great. Like it's fantastic writing all around.
Yeah, and they do a good job of explaining. Zax does a good job of explaining each of the characters' motivations. Right? You have
Yep.
you have you have Bossk, who's clearly like, we're still getting paid, right? Like that's it's like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's about money. And
Well,
then
I think what it might have been like those first 17 issues is like they used Vailience as the avatar and ran through like 30 characters, but now we finally getting them partitioned off and the runs like it's like, okay, there's just like 6 or 7 of them that are like, I just feel like there's less characters to think about now than in the past. And so they can
I thought
spend the time.
Vailience I thought he was wrapped up in the conflict with the Unbroken clan and Mourner's Wail in some way. I thought, wasn't he part of like the Hidden Hand or something? Somewhere like on his planet?
Not really. He I think he was just personally motivated the whole time.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he does care about Cadelia, but other than that, that's kind of it. I don't think. I mean, he's definitely rubbed shoulders with Crimson Dawn, but it just really tangentially. I think.
I thought there was some setup to him being involved in the storyline, but then he gets he goes he gets captured by Vader or whatever.
It's Vader. Yeah, I mean, he went
End of
from like
Vailience.
hanging with the like. He was with all the original, the original trilogy main cast, trying to help them get Han Solo back.
Right.
And then Vader, and that's it. And that's like, I think the only people he really ran into.
Yeah. No, it's always been personal. I mean, even now it's still personal motivation, right? Like I feel like Valiance's motivation has always been threats to loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're keeping that spirit alive.
Uh-huh. And
Run. I guess we're talking about Vailience now. So he sort of drifts off through the first like 2 issues, I think.
He does.
But all of his memories have been changed into text, which is terrifying. He's just like a horror story. He's been captured, heart removed, completely rebuilt. He's a droid with a skin face. Like, maybe he's got a brain. Is that the only like human organ left in him?
Partially. Like they even talk about the fact that he has like the reason why they're able to read his memories is because of the implants in his brain. So I think like all that's left is part of a brain, basically.
Shnikes. That's worse than RoboCop. He got done dirty.
Speaking of like a pretty cool character that popped up in this, like a tech infused sort of character that popped up in these comics, Syphac. He's kind of like a slicer type. He just looks super futuristic, cyberpunk looking character, almost like Lobot. Kind of looks like he's got.
I think if memory serves, we saw him. Boba Fett used him to find Han Solo.
I think so.
At the very first episode, because I remember
he has like character.
Yeah, he has that like nerd room with like 20 screens, and he's like constantly. And I think he lives on an asteroid or something.
Yeah,
but he definitely has that Lobot robotic prosthesis around his head, and.
Because I think he communicates with Tonga at one point in these comics.
Yeah.
And Tonga and Losha are great characters. I love those characters.
Yeah.
They're
and
kind
did a good
of like
job
the
of
star-crossed lovers who are stuck in the middle of this fray. Also trying to rescue Cadelia from Crimson Dawn, who we find out she's in the Crimson Dawn.
Right. So she's in Mourner's Wail, right? Tianga, right? And we saw her brother die, Tiangor, I think.
Yes, her twin. Yeah,
way
back in the beginning of Bounty Hunter's run.
Yeah, but these are some original characters to this run, and it is pretty cool. They're like, star-crossed lovers, though. What's her girlfriend's name? Losha, right?
Yeah,
Losha's like pretty good sniper, actually.
Yeah,
like
she
takes
out she takes out the enemy Unbroken clan sniper like right before this kind of massive excursions mission.
My favorite thing about them is their pet, like Nexu.
Yes.
Yes.
It's awesome. Just like looking at it is awesome, but it's just like imagine having a pet the size of 4 bears, and it's like with more teeth. It's amazing.
Yeah, pretty red crew. Who else we have in the crew? This we Bossk, Tasu Leech, Tonga, Losha, and then obviously Zuckuss steals the show.
Right.
Yep.
Talking in third person.
Yeah, and then they
Making me
absorb.
laugh.
Right. Zuckuss is fantastic. He's just like on his own planet. Like in his mind is like he's totally somewhere else, which is awesome. And then they absorb Forlom. They get a droid.
Yeah. Yep. Orlan's back in the mix. Yeah, it's again, I feel like they did such a good job of kind of integrating all these characters together into this crew. Right?
Yeah.
Like Tonga there fits in, makes sense that they're part of this whole group. It's so much fun to read. We get some good behind the scenes, not espionage, but we kind of see what's going on with what is the Unbroken Clan. General Vukora,
Right.
Oh, yeah,
takes
so-
over through
yeah,
assassination.
So we need to talk about this. So Vukora, so Vukora now takes over the Unbroken Clan. There was some weird God Jesus looking guy that she had to kill. And did gladly. And then who I guess was a father figure. That was an intense.
Oh yeah, that was like her
Yeah.
father figure, and I guess his daughter had died, and it was just this
Right.
really cutting.
She was never
change.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like an orphan like adoption gone wrong.
Yeah.
And but we do see the like Unbroken Clan swag palace, and there's a bunch of gear back there. And so Vukora has a new drip. Adam, let's do Vukora drip
Drip alert.
coverage for today.
Yeah.
Drip alert. Yeah. What do you think of Vukora's new drip?
Yeah, so I don't know. You know, like
Come on. New helmet. It's kind of a little
okay.
it's kind of gladiator, like Russell
It
Crowe
went from like
Gladiator.
Wildcats to like
Yeah.
Shao Kahn.
So anyone taking score,
Deep cut. That was very
Yeah.
deep cut going on right there.
anyone taking score knows that I have not been the biggest fan of Vukora's whole
Outfits.
outfit thing. And then she lost the helmet.
Contrary to Adam, I've loved all of the outfits thus far.
Me too. But it's
it is-
fascinating to me that it bothers Adam so much.
It bothers me so much
I actually only
because-
want to hear what Adam thinks about these costumes.
because every time it reminds me of a certain comic book character, and I sometimes I can't put my finger on
Batman?
what it is, but it feels very comic booky. But there's
All
definitely
right,
a Batman.
let me tell you one thing though.
It is a
I
comic
think
book.
it's fair that she looks like Batman because Coronet City is effectively the Gotham of Star Wars,
It
the Star
is.
Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry.
She wants
So-
to free the people from the white worm. We got the white worms, the
Yeah.
Mortar's Whale, the Unbroken Clan, all battling for the turf in Coronet City.
Right.
That's like Batman's rogue gallery. She's Batman. She's gonna clean up the streets.
So then she loses the helmet, and I'm like, I'm all on board. I like the character. I don't mind the character. Her motivations all sounds good. I enjoy her. And then she gets this new helmet. And this new helmet looks exactly like, and Grant, maybe you can help me out with this. So in the Marvel main run now, there are the long story they're going on were incursions. You remember that where like planets were coming into other other dimensions, and the Illuminati, who we'll
Yes.
see in a new movie coming out shortly. And there was these ones that would like create the worlds. Do you remember that? They would actually they were like these weird gold looking people. They have the same exact helmets. And I can't for the life of me think of what they're called. But those are the same. I won't make you bleep, but they're the same freaking helmets that they wear. And so the second I saw that, I'm like, come on, whoever is art designing these things are just clearly messing with me, because I'm looking
It's
at
a
like,
pretty
this is a
bold
comic book
accusation.
helmet.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look back at those issues.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm gonna Google.
It is a little weird. It's like a brass helmet, and she has like silver, like nothing. She like
Kinda like
clashes
Strife,
intention. Clashing is like part of her.
It's very
style.
strife. It's very strife like. That's a Ben and others. That's Cable's evil twin brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
choice. It's definitely a choice because like
I
she's
think
like
it
a
looks pretty
futuristic
rad.
Tron bodysuit, but then the like weird helmet and the weird like
I like
bits of
that
armor.
she's this. I like that she's this like, battle scarred orphan who's trying to save other orphans.
I like her
Burn a
character a lot.
Cool character.
Want to make that clear.
But she's a terrible person.
But she's also like, she's also secretly like aligned with Crimson Dawn and like wants to like have leverage against everyone and like kill people. Like, I don't know. Like, is questionable. Like, a highly questionable character.
Yeah. I just, for some reason, or whoever draws her is triggering me. And I can't explain why. Don't like it. Like her,
I do think, but like speaking of design, like there are things in here that I do want like figures of. Like, I do want this like Grand Leader Vukora. Like, I know it triggers Adam, but like I do want it. But like I do want the Forlom, like Spider Forlom. Like, I want a Hot Toys, like Sideshow Toys, like just super high end toy of that Forlom. But also Kira has like the drip alert like throughout like Crimson Reign in this. Like, she shows up with like the fur in this as she's like kind of watching over Cordelia, and then in the Crimson Reign run she has like some red outfit. And
she has a pretty curious bodyguard, and maybe this is what's popping up in Crimson Reign. I know you guys have been reading that and I have not. I haven't touched a single Crimson Reign issue yet. Is there a Knight of Ren?
Yeah, it's like her personal guard are the Knights of Ren. Like, she's galvanized the Knights of Ren as one of the many kind of like.
Do they show her gathering them?
Yeah, the first issue is all about her gathering everyone together, and she basically lays out her plans and like what she sees for the galaxy and what she wants.
Fascinating is so far in Crimson Reign, a lot of the stories, like there's a little bit of plot, but a lot of it is like taking an issue to look at a single character within the main cadre of Crimson Reign and kind of looking at their backstory.
Oh, cool.
It's really fun.
Do they do a Death Stick deep dive yet, or is that going to be the last one?
I don't think they've done. Have they done one, Grant? I don't think they've done one yet. Am I wrong?
Not featured somewhere else in another comic.
She's been around, right? And she came back, so I can't remember if they've. I feel like we've gotten her backstory, but maybe it wasn't Crimson Reign. But I thought it was something else.
We've had her backstory already. It's just in a different issue. I'm almost certain.
Yeah,
I've read so many of these.
I know that's the problem. Is like because I've read all of these bounty hunters. Like, I read them once they come out, but I also read like 30 comics a week. So
yeah, I haven't read 18 for a long time. So that's I'm fresher on 22 and 21.
Yeah. But it's Crimson Reigns. I'm surprised the amount they're doing in that comic, because it's making me start to doubt that we're ever actually going to get anything that even approaches a solo 2.
Because
like
they're covering a lot of the ground that you would cover in a solo in these stories. But it's also fascinating because like Kira's very much involved with the Sith. Like, she's been tracking Sith whereabouts, finding their artifacts, like all types, doing crazy stuff, researching the Sith, and she even like shows off like a little one of her cabins of her ship has like all these artifacts in it. It's pretty rad. And like, I just like looking at all the things in the background, I was like, there is a lot. Like, each little artifact definitely has a story involved. Like,
I'm very excited, Ben, for you to meet the Archivist, which I know Grant has already spoken about.
I'm obsessed with this character.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's an amazing character.
Nice. I can't wait to do it. Are we doing it next week?
No, we're still a ways away before Crimson Reign.
We could do a 5-issue check-in, though, or like a 4-issue check-in or something.
It's tough because I think it wraps up. So let me look. Crimson Reign, well, not that far away. Crimson Reign wraps up May 4th.
So much happens in Crimson Reign that I think you could cover like an issue of Crimson Reign as like a.
We could, but we only got like 3 weeks before we can cover the whole thing, because we still have Darth Vader and Dr. Aphra runs, and what it looks like they're doing is the Crimson Reign arc is about 10 issues in each of these comics, so they're splitting them into half. So that's why these first 5 are kind of Crimson Reign Part 1, and then we'll get the second part of Crimson Reign within Bounty Hunters. And by the way, if you're missing Vailience, Ben, you'll get to see him again soon.
Crimson Reign.
In Darth Vader, because his story continues in the Vader run.
Oh my god!
It basically kind of switches over.
I sat down and I like doing this. I'm just waiting until our show and I read all the comics right in the same sitting, the same day that we do this, just so like everything's fresh in my mind. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. But I was liking it so much that I went back through and I started rereading the 2017 Darth Vader Soul run.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, I think I bought the book. I think it's issues 1 through 12 or something. And
True.
I'm just gonna get all that because that whole run. I could see I picked it up around like issue 20. I think I started getting them, but I need all of those because it's so good.
Yeah, it covers a lot of like the Purge, like the stuff I've always thought would make a great Disney Plus like show, like the Purge sort of storytelling, where it's like, what's Vader doing during the Purge? That's kind of like the witch hunt you want to follow,
It's early days of Darth Vader existing, and
I mean, it starts right at the end of episode 3, right?
That's great.
Yeah, right there, and he's like, still, I mean, he's using a different lightsaber, which is like makes my heart flutter a little. Just a second. It's that one that he stole, and like and so he had a different red lightsaber, and it was
that bearish vow issue where he goes to fight that Jedi who's like in exile is next level. Like
he's been that Jedi's been doing nothing but drinking coffee and like lifting weights and like practicing fighting techniques.
That's right.
Yeah,
you're making me want to go back and reread it.
Yeah, that issue. I wish I had this. If I have the single issue for that would be amazing. But
I just finished Joe Cast a new arc too, and it's that's just like one of the greatest things. And you see you see a Luke Skywalker at the end of that arc, finding her stash, and it's
Dude, not to tell Star Wars fans how to do their Star Wars, but I mean, just do yourself a favor and just read the new Marvel run of Star Wars. Like they're doing so much good work in all of the series, and like you don't need it. It's not one of those things where I'm like, you need to do it to understand the full Star Wars, but like if you like Star Wars, they're fun, they're easy reads, they're not a big commitment, and they're just, you get so much out of them.
Yeah, I do think that some of the greatest storytelling is happening in the comics. And
I agree.
Think like that whole Dark Heart of the Sith arc that Pac did with Vader and Sabe and the return of the sort of the handmaidens was
it's so good.
Like that's exactly what I want to see. And if they bring Hayden back and they want to do Vader for longer on Disney Plus, just do Dark Heart of the Sith. Do the sort of adapt the Pac storyline of Sabe coming back, a sort of Padme Vader-esque sort of relationship again, but he's in the army. It could be so powerful. It could be a fun show.
I hope we get there. I hope we're not so precious with canon that we can't retread or retell stories that have been told in other mediums. Does that make sense? Like let someone say, I'm going to take this as inspiration and film it, but not be beholden to telling it exactly the same way, but to take those beats and to let the canon nerds like myself, who is really guilty of sometimes, to just go light and say, you know what, the different medium, it's okay, it's a little different, but as long as you're getting that same vibe and kind of the same big arcs, I'm happy with however you tell that.
Yeah, I mean, it actually might be cool if you could still keep it canon. But I mean, if if it was a feature film, say, or something, or if it was a live action, probably a live action, a video on demand program, you'd have so many hours, you could still cover a lot of the scenes in the comic book. And like all of a sudden you'd get a scene that you're like, if you read the comic book, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is the scene. And then, it'll be so much more fleshed out in a live action drama. I think it would just be kind of nice. You'd run over those and be like, oh, that's awesome. I just saw it this way.
Yeah. No, 100%. I feel like we should get to like, I almost feel like we should have tiers of canon.
Really?
Like, wow. Yeah, I feel like live action trumps animated, which trumps comics, which trumps, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the way you read it. Like, your brain can fill it in. If something is wrong, you go one level up. Like, whatever, and then you can have, but because then you allow the creators to not get so penned in, right? Like, I feel like I've been enjoying the books quite a bit, but the books that take place in the Skywalker Saga timeline are very character driven, which is fun to read, but not very plot driven because they can't do a lot of plot. Right. Yeah. I feel like comics actually get a little more leeway, but I feel like if you're just to do this and just say, you know what, do what you want to do. By the way, your canon may get rewritten later on, where you're just like, all right, you start and you go down. Yeah.
I mean, I like that you feel that way. I respect you feeling that way. I don't feel that way personally myself. I'm glad that, that's a way that's, I'm sure there's a lot of people like you that are just like, let's just ease it up. I'm too OCD for that. I like that everything's like in its little canon slots. Yeah. But I do wish that Kathleen would let storytellers tell the stories they want to make and stop saving real estate for later.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be on the next person to build their story around the story that someone else told. I think that's fair. Everyone in the storytelling universe is good. In fact, I think these comic book storytellers, like, I wish they would write a feature film. Like Charles Soule feature film, yes. Like, write a script. Let's go. But I don't know. That's how I just feel like, just let I agree with you. It's a problem that it feels a little too penned in at times. Just let people write.
I also think characters should be allowed to die. Characters just do not die in the Star Wars universe, and
yes, they should die all the time.
There should be a real, impact with the storytelling and real consequences.
Reading these comics, reading Bounty Hunters, I am not at all worried for Forlom, Zuckuss, Bossk, any of these characters, because I just know the way the giant machine thinks. Right? There's no way they're going to let one of those characters die in a comic when you could save it for when you have a Mandalorian show running around. Right. There's no way. So,
that's still pretty loose. If you're just like, you can't kill this this one person we want to use later, but you can tell whatever story with that person staying alive.
Yeah,
like totally. that seems not that restrictive.
But like, see, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I will take wobbly canon and to allow storytellers to express themselves to the fullest. Like, I will allow that if there's real consequences. Like, if there's real consequences, I don't mind the canon allowing other storytellers to fully express. If there's a Darth Maul story and it's like the best Darth Maul story that somehow takes place after Rebels in some way, like, sure, go for it. Even though he dies at the end of Rebels, like, sure, like, let's see that story. What is that story? Let's go for it. Let's allow the canon to kind of open up for that.
It's funny you should say Darth Maul, because I want to name what we're calling the Darth Maul loophole, because you can kill off any character in Star Wars, and there's always a chance they're going to come back, because Darth Maul gets chopped in half. One of the most violent deaths we've ever seen in Star Wars history, falling down a shaft.
Right.
And that guy just shows up again in spider legs, because they were like, oh, this is a cool character, we want to bring him back. If you can do that, you can bring anyone back. Darth Vader could come back for blank sake.
Right.
Yeah, I just feel like it can be more lenient if there's consequences, because then, like, if you just allow all these characters to keep coming back, then the stakes feel cheapened.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and so what we're kind of getting at here, which is interesting, an added benefit of, like, Ben's idea that, like, no, let him write whatever it writes, but then it's canon, right? Yeah. And just deal with it and figure it out.
Deal with it.
And then Grant's idea of, like, let stakes matter, let characters die in any medium. Well, you know what that does? Very quickly, that's going to force us to move outside of the Skywalker Saga timeline, which is great, right? Yeah, like, it expands the universe.
Yeah, right. And bring in new characters, which they are not doing a good enough job with, I think. I mean, that's one thing I have to tip my cap to Bounty Hunters for. Like, they've made really, the whole main plot line is new characters, and they're great, and it's really complex, and it's fun. They've managed, they expanded the galaxy,
and I care about the characters now, right? I'm interested. I'm invested in them. Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, no, I know, but maybe not Vailience, but I mean, like, but also it's like, again, I will always say Dr. Aphra, Dr. Aphra, Dr. Aphra. Right. To me, that is the perfect example of creating a character fully, nowhere else, not even old canon, and a character now that is in my top 10 Star Wars character lists.
Right. Yeah. Because it's just so good. There is one character we haven't talked about much, but he plays a very significant position in here. In fact, he's on the top of his game. This is a new look Dengar. We catch him with his in an intimate moment with his special lady friend.
Yeah.
And then he gets called into action, and we get some classic Dengar where he, like, knocks on a door. They open the, like, eye slot, and he throws a thermal detonator in there.
Wait, that is so good when he breaches the room and he goes, like, Anyone's still alive in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone's still alive in here? Yeah. So
Guys,
do.
I think I'm coming around to Dengar.
yeah.
I'm enjoying how they're
Minaru.
using him. And
Minaru and Dengar. I've got to go Minaru.
And I really hope it seems like the next half of this arc or the second part is going to be Dengar heavy, because if you see the cover for the trade paperback of the next 5 issues, it's literally just a Dengar picture. So I think he's going to be the big bad in this 5-issue run.
They should do a Book of Boba Fett sequel where it's just Dengar v Boba Fett, and
that'd be great.
But I'm really hoping, because in the timeline, this is the farthest we've seen Dengar before we see him again in episode 9.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen. So I hope.
Where's that story? Let's get a.
That's what I'm hoping we're getting. I'm hoping we're getting the first step to Rathgar Deng in this next.
I think he's made a note
Dengar
about
story. Yeah, I need it.
There was a line or something, like a throwaway line about him being like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want any droid parts or something like that."
Yeah. There's a little like wink, wink. Yeah.
But he's got a new swagger in this thing, and it's awesome.
But I like him as the foil. Like I like him as the one the group's fighting against. Like that's perfect for me. I never want to be on his side. Does that make sense? Like I enjoy this as him as the bad guy, because I can hate him, but I can enjoy him at the same time.
Yeah. And so there's a couple names here that stuck out to me. I didn't read every issue name, or if I did, they didn't all stick out, but 2 did. One was from this run, and it was called Forlorn for Forlom. That I thought that was a great title.
That's a good one.
And then, but so the next issue's title is Clear and Present Dengar.
Yeah.
That was more incredible. Funny.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see Dengar in this darker sort of portrayal. It's fun.
Yeah. No, I'm on board. I'm really enjoying this run, and I like it. Sachs has been writing this. He's been on this whole run, right? He started with Bounty Hunters, so it's I'm enjoying it. I feel like he's kind of settled in. He knows his characters. He's been plotting them along, and now he's doing that thing where he can start having fun with them, right? He's starting to mix and match and figure out what it would be like, and he really seems to know all of these characters and understand all the characters that he created and brought into this world.
Yeah, to me, the Empire Strikes Back Bounty Hunters will always be my favorite ones. Like he's created great new characters, but like you can't outdo my love for Forlom, Zuckuss, Dengar, and Bossk, who are all in this issue. Like they're all in this like run right now and prominently featured. Like that tickles my heart.
Bounty hunting to me was always. I almost think like there's another version of this where it's a quieter Western where it's a lot less is said, and it's bounty hunting in the more classic sense of the word.
Yeah,
it's just and almost like a good Vader issue where it's like not a lot of dialogue, but it's all about the hunt. It's all about tracking. It's all about skill, cunning, tact, what you're doing, who you're contacting. Yeah.
So, pull out your Star Wars Core World News bingo card. I'm going to talk about Star Wars Galaxies for a second. Because I played as a Wookiee bounty hunter, and it was the best thing because you would just get a bounty. You'd go into town, you go to the bounty board, you get a bounty, which often was another player. Like you would actually get a bounty of another player who was live, and then you would just send out you'd send out drones, and you'd have to kind of like put it around in real time because the drones would go to all the different planets, and you would get the planet. You'd have to fly there in your starship, land on the planet, throw out more drones. And there's so many times I just spent like hours on a speeder bike, a swoop bike, just going across the horizon, just chasing another character down.
Oh, that's so fun.
That's it. That's all I did for hours and just wait and just be by my keyboard, just waiting to track him down and just like bowcast that.
Hot pockets are done.
Yeah, no, it's great. But it's literally, I spent like 4 hours once just tracking some fool down. It was great. That's all I did. It was just tracking bounty down.
Yeah, I think there's a version of this comic, of a bounty hunters-esque comic, where it's just a slower story. Yeah.
I want that in live action. I kind of thought that's what we'd get with Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett, I really thought
Oh boy.
It could be fun if you saw the actual like fighting pits or the gladiatorial arenas that
Right.
were hinted at with Chrysanthemum.
It just seems like such a ripe story. Like, why, I mean, we saw the Mandalorian bounty hunting for an episode or two, but it just seems like you could just do that if you take a popular character and just follow them. Just like it doesn't
like
have
Hunger Games with all the classic bounty hunters. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe it's too big a budget to do that right, I guess, but
that's a big wish.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about like an alien jungle, or it's like almost like Predators. I was imagining, like almost.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, it Predators. That one where they're.
There's two. There's Predator and there was Predator.
No, yeah, it's Predator.
Yeah,
Predator.
There's Predators, and they tried to sell it because they're like, remember Alien and Aliens and how amazing the second one was. We're doing the same thing with Predators. And by the way, Topher Grace is in it, but that's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's actually not a bad movie. There's some interesting. It's a fun character sort of mashup in that movie.
Not sure about Topher Grace. We got Adrian Brody. Remember that guy? Remember his really problematic hosting gig on Saturday Night Live? Let's not talk about that.
Wow, I don't, and we'll talk about it there.
This is another
Google it.
I have to Google what Adam just mentioned. That's hilarious.
Rastafarian. Moving on.
I think we covered it. I think obviously the cliffhanger here is that they've captured Grand Leader Vukora at this point, and but she is not the rightful leader of Unbroken Clan. She's not the heir. She's not the blood of Unbroken Clan. She's kind of just seized control, and they are trying to get Cordelia back. Yeah, but who's to say Vukora doesn't have something up her sleeve?
Sure, but it feels like they collected a bounty, right?
It feels like a bounty has been captured. Yeah,
they might get paid for this, which is great. All right, that's us for this week. Thanks very much for tuning in to Core World News, and hope you enjoyed this recap of these comics. And if you're playing Lego Star Wars, grind, have fun out there. And we will talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.